This is the Vicente Tatay Tomás guitar that you saw in the last video as an example not to put steel strings on a classical guitar. And the setup wasn't too bad. A couple of things that the steel strings did which caused a bit of an issue. They didn't do any damage to the top or warp the neck in any way. I'm not sure if the side damage that was being patched has to do with the extra pressure. Probably not. That's probably incidental. The bridge is not pulling up, so we got lucky there. However, the steel strings were digging into the nut way too far. They were just cutting into it. So I had to redo the nut on this. It was buzzing like crazy. Now it's perfect. Now, I know these come up quite a bit in the UK. They are stamped made in Valencia, España, in Spain. Sometimes it's Vicente Tatay, sometimes it's Vicente Tatay Tomás, sometimes it's just Tatay. I'm not sure if there are different striations of the brand. If just the ones stamped Tatay are the entry level, and these ones that have the full name are the higher end guitars. It just does appear to be a solid spruce top guitar, and what looks to be rosewood back and sides, although the back side, the very back, is very pale compared to the side, as you can see there. So I'm wondering if that got left in the sun, or if it just happened to be that way when it was put together. I don't know. The back does have a made in Spain stamp on it. Very, very typical classical headstock, mahogany neck. What looks to be a rosewood board with those brass type of frets, which took a lot of work. They were absolutely filthy. Look how shiny they are now. All the ends have been filed down and angled, so it plays really well. It's actually a very pretty guitar, and it's slightly wider in the bottom bouts than a lot of standard classicals, so it seems to have a bit more power and projection. I put some D'Addario strings on it just now, and it seems to have some nice punch to it, particularly in the bass end. So I'm pretty pleased with it. It's the first one I've had. I've seen a lot of these Tatay branded guitars. This is the first one I've had of this particular brand. And I'm glad it's a classical, because I think this is a specialist classical maker who may dabble in acoustic guitars, but I think this is their stock in trade, as is most Spanish makers, as are most Spanish makers. So if I give you a shot there of the label through the rosette, it does appear to have sort of maple bound edges with double purfling going all around. The bridge may not be original. It appears to be a very shiny, cheaper bridge, so that may not be original. It does have some wear, and it does have a slight bowed neck, which I think will straighten out under string tension. It appears to be straightening out already. Apologize for my dog. He's seen a squirrel or something there in the background. Nice tight spruce grain. There you go, better angle on the guitar. Just wondering if he'll shut up. Yeah, as I said, this came to me with steel strings on it, strung up all the way. I quickly detuned it. I got it on the bench. I pulled off all the strings. There they are. Somebody put these steel string set on there. And it was the worst string wind job I've ever seen. Most people who don't know how to put strings on a guitar will at least YouTube it and get some sort of video. This guy just pushed the strings in, wrapped them once around themselves at full tension, so almost a third of the string was sticking out of each one. Awful. You know, we saved it from any further damage, because obviously these guitars are not braced. are not made for steel string tension. I checked all the braces on the inside. Everything's tight. So I don't think the steel strings were on too long. And looking at them now, they appear to be fairly new. So I think this guitar had only just been strung when I bought it. Somebody threw on a steel string set, not knowing not to do that. So I don't think it was on there too long. I've seen lots of guitars ruined, nylon strung guitars ruined by people putting steel strings on them. You can see there, the action's not too bad. It's pretty standard classical action. After I corrected the nut was way too low because the slots were cut too deeply into it. There's not a lot of saddle left, so there's not a lot of playroom, but I think it's right where it needs to be as far as the action goes. Now, I sold a classical guitar recently, and the person asked me if I could lower the action, and I told them you don't want to lower the action any more than it is. It's set up for nylon string gyration. If you lower it like an electric guitar, the guitar will sound bad, it will buzz. The notes don't have enough, the strings don't have enough clearance room. So some people do this kind of stuff. The person that had this guitar had filed the nut grooves down, or they cut them, the strings cut deeper into them, and put steel strings on it, and the action was really, really low. It sounded horrible, and the guitar was in danger of being damaged. So now it's back to being a proper classical guitar as it was intended to be, and is quite a nice model. I kind of like this guitar. It's got a good feel to it. It's graduated nicely too. It's got a really nice thickness to the top, and the back and ribs aren't really heavy like they are on some cheap guitars. It feels, like a reasonably made guitar. I would suspect, I don't see a date on it, I suspect this is probably 20, 25, 30 years old from looking around, maybe even older. I think the bridge has been replaced. I think this rib has been patched, not badly either, and the back has faded pretty badly compared to the sides. But other than that, it's in pretty good shape now, particularly with the neck job that we did, the fret job that we did on this, getting all the grunge and grime and sharp fret ends off. It's really nice now. This plays really well. So again, this is a Vicente Tatay Tomás SA. Has a lot of text on here. I can't read it, I don't have my glasses on, but it says Valencia, Spain, made in Spain, España. So I have no reason to believe that it's not Spanish. So there you go, folks. A nice example of a Tatay guitar, fully signed by the maker, Spanish classical, spruce top, rosewood back and sides. Very pleased with the way this came out. Glad to share it with you. Alright, see you on the next one.